Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to install this 8-gang Auxbeam switch panel on my 2013 F-150. This should apply for all '09 to 14 F-150s and Raptors. And probably just if you're looking for ideas on how to mount yours or looking for insight on this switch panel, hopefully you find this video helpful. So the first thing I wanted to do was go over what comes in the box. I know there's a lot of videos out there on this system, but I figured if this is your first time seeing it, you might want to know. So starting here in the bottom right, we have the main switch panel, and this will go in the cab of your vehicle. And it comes with two mounts for that. You have this flush style mount, and you have like this angled mount that gives you more flexibility on how you want it oriented. Up here we have a wide variety of stickers that can go on your switch panel. They stick on right there, and they have a couple blanks as well in case there's some spots you're not using. You have a brochure with some directions and some overview, some marketing. The directions leave a good amount to be desired, and they have their fair share of typos as well. So moving on, here we have the main wiring harness. This wire is between your switch panel and your main switch assembly over here. So yeah, here's the switch assembly. It's has a plastic cover, but it feels pretty heavy, so it doesn't necessarily feel cheap. The switch panel feels pretty nice. I think it's aluminum. You can actually see where the finish is cut out there, and you can see the milling of the aluminum, which is kind of cool. But moving back towards the switch assembly here, it has two mounting brackets which are a little odd to me. I'm not really sure how exactly they work, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. You have some various hardware and some Allen wrenches. You have your main battery cables, which seem somewhat adequate. I wish they were a little bit longer to give you more flexibility for mounting under the hood, but I think I can make it work. As you can see, the main positive line there is split, and that's to accommodate this 60 amp inline fuse, which is resettable. And here you have a little, I guess, lead that plugs into the switch assembly, and you plug this into a switchable power, so that way the system shuts off when you take the key out. And I guess technically, you could put it on, any type of auxiliary or running or whatever type of fuse you'd want, and you do that with the supplied add fuse, which is it's pretty nice that it comes with this. That's a nice touch, and it comes with some zip ties, which are cheap, but it's nice to see that someone's at least thinking about that. Okay, so we're in the truck right now. And I've thought about where I want to mount this. There's a couple different options, at least for this model specifically. I've thought about down here underneath the lighting switches. I could kind of put it here under this silver plastic there, kind of put it down low. But I think my knee's going to get caught there moving in and out of the vehicle, which would be kind of annoying. The other place where I thought it could probably make sense is where I have my current switches, which I am running. I have more accessories than switches, so that's why I'm upgrading to this 8-gang switch. So I think I'm going to remove these, and behind here is the cubby that that's normally there on these F-150s, which is kind of worthless. You really can't do anything with it. So there's already a hole run to the engine bay that I have all routed out already. So I'll just remove the current switches. I'll cover up the cubby that's there, and I will route the wire through there, and you won't see any of the wires. So all right, let's see how it goes. All right, so everything's kind of a mess right now, but because of the length of the main power cables, I'm going to kind of stick to the passenger side of the engine bay. So I just ran my main wiring harness here, and I ran that through the grommet on the passenger side. You can see it right here, this big rubber grommet thing. Ignore the mess of wires. I'm cleaning this all up because the system basically allows you to get rid of your relays, which is pretty nice. So I got a relay here for my front lights and a relay there for my back lights. So I'm going to be able to get rid of all that, which is really nice. So because of where I'm mounting it, I'm going to use the flush mount bracket right here. And as you can see, it has countersunk holes right there. And it has two matching flathead screws here, Phillips drive. And obviously those will match up with the countersink. And it'll give you a nice flat back here to mount to my dash. One thing that's a nice touch is they already have cutouts here for your cable routing. And you can route it up or down, which I'm just going to go down because it'll be easier. So that's a pretty nice touch for such an affordable switch panel. Alright, so we had a slight change of plans. So basically the flush mount bracket here isn't going to work for me because it extends too far past the edges of the panel, and where I want to mount it there's not enough real estate there. So I used some cardboard aided design, and I fabbed up this little bracket or mounting plate out of some 1/8 inch aluminum. It's not, ignore this atrocity, this hole here, but that's just a pass through so I can get the connector through here. So that's why it's so ugly. But this is the back side, and it doesn't look awful in the front. Maybe I'll clean it up later. Maybe I'll paint it or something like that, but we'll see. So alright, now I'm gonna throw it in the truck. Alright, it's a new day. I have the switch panel mounted up. I'm not sure I'm in love with how it looks. I may need to radius the corners maybe, or maybe paint it black with steel it. I'm open to input on that, so if you guys have an idea of how to make it look better, I'd be willing to take some feedback. But it's very securely mounted. I think this is really my only option if I wanted to mount it right here. And as you can see, real estate wise, there's not a ton, unless I wanted to like go down and like into the center console there and take up some space. But I'm more or less happy, but it looks a little odd to me. So the next thing I did, I got the bracket all mounted on. Kind of was tricky to figure out where I wanted it. So I wanted to be close to the battery over here, just so I didn't have long wires all over the place, or I didn't have to buy extra wires. And I wanted to be somewhat close to that grommet where I ran the control wire through. So I was able to mount it here onto the cowl, and it barely clears the hood, but I think it's going to be fine. As you can see, I've got 3 self-tappers up here, and I do have one. This is the supplied hardware. I do have one screw with a nut on the back, and I was only able to put one of those because there's a small access hole down here I could fit my fingers in and get a nut in. The rest I couldn't, so I just chose to go with self-tappers. But I'll throw the unit on top right now. We're gonna mount to the middle holes. It'll end up looking like that, something like that. But I think it looks pretty good. It looks almost like it belongs there. It's nice out of the way. It'll be away from a lot of the heat of the engine. So I think it's going to work. So the next thing we got to figure out is where to mount the breaker. So I want it to be obviously close to the unit and the battery. As I showed you before, they supply a long hot cable and a shorter hot cable. But unfortunately, the way everything is set up and just not having a good place to mount it, I think I'm going to have to get a custom cable or make one. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to take the flush mount bracket that comes with it, and we're going to place it underneath the unit itself. I'm going to bend it on a 90-degree angle and mount the breaker right here. It should be pretty easy to get in there and flip it if I need to reset it. And this way everything should be kind of together, which is nice. Okay, so I got a lot done since last time you guys saw this. I got the bracket all finished. I ended up welding that 90-degree bend bracket to the bottom of the bracket used to mount the actual unit. So I had to do all this creative stuff because there's not a ton of places to mount things nicely in here, and because I have to kind of get creative, I'm also going to have to get a new length of wire here. I couldn't go directly from the battery to the unit here, or to the other side of the breaker up here, but I really just don't want to like cut across and just have a wire dangling there. So I'll probably route it along the harness here and up against to the firewall, and then under and back through here. So I think that'll look the best and kind of be out of the way for maintenance and stuff like that. So so once I do that, I can start actually wiring in the lights and start getting the kind of all this excess cabling all cleaned up. So all right, next progress update. We're getting a lot of things done. The first thing you might notice is I got the plastic cover back onto the breaker here. We had to trim some of the plastic because it's originally made, I guess, so you're taking the wires out of the kind of top and then bottom down here. So we kind of cut out to the sides because that's just how we wanted to route the wires there. I got the wiring harness all plugged in. I got the accessory power cable all hooked in. So I ran this all the way to basically the fuse box. I had to extend it to make it work. I have not connected it yet, but we ran this into fuse number 79. Yep, 79. And that is, look at the manual here, that's the rain sensor, which I don't even think I have that on the truck. But anyway, that runs off just when the key is turned to accessory power. Obviously it'll turn on when it runs as well, but we use the supplies out of fuse here, and it'll route nicely in the fuse box, and then out to the actual unit over there. I got the extended 4-foot I guess power cable all done. I went to AutoZone, just bought a generic one, cut the end off because I had a battery clamp on it, and just stuck. Well, actually, it was the other end that I stuck it on, but it looks just like this. Basically, stuck the ring terminal on, and I think 4 feet is the magic number for how we're going to route it. So next thing to do is just start tightening up all the wiring, and once that's done, then I can start actually routing things to the box and getting power to it. One thing that's also kind of cool is I can just I can wire this up and it'll be hot, but then I could just go hit the breaker and it'll cut off all power to it, which is a pretty cool feature. So that's probably what I'll do, so everything looks all nice and tidy, and I can just start adding to it. So all right, I'll give you an update in a second. Okay, we're in the cab now, and I'm going to test to make sure that the switch panel has power. First accessory. Okay, position 1, good to go. And I'll switch it to run, excuse me. Okay, still have power. Of course, it's beeping like crazy. All right, so now all I have left to do is to I'll flip that breaker, disconnect power, and then I'll start attaching my accessories. Okay, it's all wired up, and as you can see, I skipped a couple circuits here. Those will be reserved for the new lights I'm getting. I'll be putting those on the front of the truck. I ended up switching out. I mean, the literature in the brochure says that these two circuits, number 1 and 2, are rated to 30 amps, and everything else is rated at 20 amps. I swapped these out just to get a little bit more protection on those circuits. And but what's weird is that their diagram shows that each one of these circuits shows 20, 20, 10, 10, 5, 5. So the picture doesn't match the description, but I guess we'll see going forward if that causes any issues as far as if they're all 20 or these ones actually 5, as this says down here, these labels. So I'll probably try to be on the safer side, but if I run out of circuits, I might need to start making decisions. But all right, I think I'll wrap this up, and maybe I'll show you with the cover closed and kind of talk about some of my thoughts. Okay, everything's all buttoned up. I think the installation went pretty well. It's always nice to kind of clean up some wiring and make something a little bit more professional looking. You know, it's not super packed away. You know, obviously there's still some wires kind of running all over the place. But overall, not too bad. I think it's really hard for them to make a kit that that's universal. So obviously anything that needs to be made for a specific vehicle might need some specific modifications. So, but with that being said, I wouldn't mind if they made the leads a little longer. That'd be really nice. Give you a little bit more flexibility. And you know, I think there's definitely some you know, cost cutting. Obviously, this is a pretty budget unit, so I can't really complain about that. If I wanted something really top of the line, obviously you gotta pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for that. So I think I'll take it for the cost. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. I know it was just kind of a simple install, and I kind of just took you along for the ride. Hopefully I gave you some enough thoughts on this unit to help you make a decision on if you're looking to buy it or not. Like I said before, I think for the money, it's a pretty good deal. You know, I think they could have probably done some nicer things, like added some additional hardware, added some longer leads. I think that would have kind of made it a little bit more useful. But overall, I think it's a nice system. I think it's going to work well for what I got. And yeah, let me know if you guys need anything. Thanks.